We are talking to Robert Ferringo from DocSports.com and Scott Kellen from SixCentSports.com. Robert, the game you want to talk about, Dallas at San Francisco. Dallas is a road favorite of a field goal. This is an interesting line. I'm thinking you'll probably take Dallas here because Dallas looked really good last week, and then they sort of fell apart in the fourth quarter. They had a bunch of sort of tough breaks. They had a blocked punt. Romo had 2 fourth-quarter turnovers. The Cowboys do, though. They have 3 first-year players on the offensive line, so that may indicate a certain fundamental weakness in them. San Francisco, 3-point home underdog. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, I definitely do like Dallas in this situation. Nothing like jumping on a shaky road favorite. And you're never exactly going against the public when you're playing against the Cowboys, that's for sure.
Right.
But there definitely has been a lot of backlash against Dallas this week, and I think that has helped keep this number down. I couldn't understand why this wasn't about a 4.5 or 5-point line for the Cowboys. I think San Francisco had the benefit of playing Seattle last week, when if you look at their other NFC West cohorts, St. Louis played a little bit better than the final score indicated, but they still got run at home by Philadelphia, and that's a St. Louis team that I think is much better than San Francisco. And then Arizona, they were 6 yards away from going to overtime against Carolina, the worst team in the NFL last year, with a rookie quarterback, 2 rookie defensive tackles, and without their middle linebacker starting at home. So it's one of those things where when the NFC West kind of branches out and actually plays real, legitimate NFL teams, they get exposed for being the just horrible wretches that they are. Travel is a concern for Dallas this week, but again, I kind of offset that by San Francisco just not being very good and the inherent line value that I see here. So I do like Dallas, but the play that I'm really excited about here is I kind of like the under. Mm-hmm. Dallas is 14-2 against the total in their last 16 games. They have a lot of strong over trends, but a lot of that was attributable to last year, to them having a little bit better offense than people expected and just a historically franchise worst defense. So I feel like this is one of the things where the market hasn't really corrected itself, so there's some value betting on the under here. 42.5 is a real thick line when you have the talent that Dallas does have in the front 7, and San Francisco's passing game isn't really the type that's going to exploit Dallas's weakness in the secondary. Dallas held up very well against a very strong New York Jets running game last week. I think that they'll be able to overpower a pretty mediocre San Francisco running game this week. But most importantly, in the Seattle-San Francisco game last week, there were 50 total points scored, but there were only 428 yards of total offense. That's 8.6 yards per point, and that is just beyond a statistical anomaly. That's a total outlier, and that's something that sets up for a statistical regression this week. Also, in that Dallas-Jets game, there was only 27 points scored in that game going into the fourth quarter, and then the offenses kind of went buck wild. There was that special teams touchdown,
right,
and then there were 24 points scored in the last 14 and a half minutes. So that I wouldn't say that was as high scoring a game as the final score would indicate. It's not like the offenses just have free reign. So I do think that this will be a little bit more competitive of a game with San Francisco being a home underdog and having an opportunity to go to 2-0. But I definitely think it'll be a lower scoring game, and I lean on Dallas here in this.
All right. That's a great read. Yeah, in the past few years, I've always looked for reasons to go on unders at games in San Francisco. And if the total is indeed too high, then maybe a tease on San Francisco might have value. Scott Kellen, what's your take on these lines?
Yeah, I think I pretty much probably agree with Robert. I don't have any situations on the game. I was kind of hoping I'd have something on Dallas because I just don't have a lot of respect for San Francisco. They're not a very good team right now. They can't move the ball. Last week, just looking at their drive charts here, they started on the Seattle 27, 5 plays, 18 yards to field goal. They started on the Seattle 9, 4 plays and 3 yards, and they settled for a field goal. They did start on the Seattle 49 and actually ended up getting a touchdown, but they just could not move the ball last week. They could not move it in the preseason. So I just don't see them moving the ball much here. And I thought Dallas, I actually had the Jets last week, was clearly wrong on that side. And I thought that Dallas actually looked pretty good last week. And I think they're a much better team. And when you start looking at, any other division playing the NFC West, typically you're going to get these other teams that are superior to any NFC West team. So, and as far as the under, I would probably lean that way as well. One thing to note, in week 2, road teams who gave up 24 or more points the previous game. There's another parameter there, but those games typically go under. Teams make adjustments on the defensive side of the ball because they gave up so many points the week before. So I would lean towards Dallas in this game just because I think they're a much better team, and I would also lean towards the under just knowing that teams make adjustments after giving up a bunch of points the week before. And you combine that with the fact that San Francisco really can't move the ball offensively. They're okay defensively, but offensively they've been a disaster. And if you look at, average points scored in an NFL game is 43-44, so the total here is set at about an average point scored, and you've got a San Francisco team that can't move the ball, and Dallas that should be focused on the defensive side of the ball. I think the under has a good chance of coming in.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to bet that right after this call. Under. Make a small play on the under.